conversation on decoding India's tax maze. India's tax benefits for GCC expansion. And in this session, we will explore the tax incentives and the benefits that India offers for GCC expansion. Navigating the Indian tax landscape can be complex at times, and understanding the opportunities and challenges in the system is essential for GCCs looking to set up or scale operations in India. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Mrinal Shankar, Senior Manager at ABB, in conversation with Manisha Gupta, Partner at Deloitte India, who will be sharing their valuable insights on how GCCs can leverage India's tax benefits to facilitate smooth and efficient expansion. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and join me in welcoming on stage Mrinal Shankar and Manisha Gupta.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think you've been hearing, everything about the good story about what GCC has to offer in India. But I think for the GCC story to happen, one of the key things which global companies would look at is certainty in their taxation. So we talk about, 1,700 GCCs, revenues of about 64 billion. Which means even assuming that they are, as you know, all GCCs work on a cost-plus basis, and we assume even 15% margins, it means a 2 billion of taxes to the Indian exchequer just in income taxes. And I think one of the demands of the industry is, can they have certainty on this? So on this issue, I'm privileged to have with me Mrinal.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Mrinal. Mrinal, my first question on this to you is, typically all GCCs, the way they are taxed is that on the fully loaded costs,
That's right.
there is typically a markup. Now, the big challenge which is there is that the Indian revenue, at least at the field officer level, demand a very high markup on this.
Yeah.
Now, how have you and in ABB navigated this, and what would your advice be to GCCs in terms of, as they set up their centers in India, how should they navigate their taxes?
Okay. That's a very good question, because same question I also hear from my business leaders. That how do we ensure tax certainty? I think one of the good option that we can think of, exploring APA. I think if at all, if some GCC are working in multilateral countries kind of thing, they can go for unilateral APAs. Whereas if a safe harbor is also one of the option, but today with the safe harbor with the 100 crore and 200 crore threshold, we don't see much option that some GCCs can opt for, like ABB. Whereas what we also understand from the recent budget, that finance minister is coming with a new safe harbors regulations, where I can expect that they come with some new thresholds for the GCCs, as well as some margins expectation, which is maybe little lower on the from the APA what is being done. I don't know whether it is possible or not, but that is something is an expectation that we see.
Yeah. So what is the industry looking at? We typically see that margins of anywhere between a 16 to a 18, 19%.
That's right. Yes, 15 to 18 is what we generally look for, because that's where we feel that, it is something like whether you want to have a 15% marker, because when we speak to our group colleagues, they always push to reduce the cost, and especially markup. And for India, GCCs kind of set up 15% markup, they feel it is on the higher side. Whereas when they compare to other countries thing, and we always say the cost base is something which is lower for India, and that's where we compensate this 15% markup. But currently, the kind of setup we are seeing, GCC, and the talent that we are getting, the cost arbitrage is going. I think in some of the topics also this was discussed, that cost arbitrage is gone almost. Now it is more on the talent and more on the skill development, and the new capabilities is where we are looking for, basically.
Surprising to hear you saying a 15% because one of the common things which we hear is that other countries where there are GCCs like Poland or Indonesia or Philippines or Malaysia or Mexico, they seem to have higher, lower margins.
Yes, that's right.
So how would you, be able to convince your global parent with this higher markup compared if the other countries are providing a lower?
I mean, one of the things that which we get from the consultant is the benchmarking. That is one thing which we try to explain. Otherwise, we always say the cost is one of the big reason, because even we have our internal benchmarking also when we compare the cost per employee or FT, the rate that we have in Poland or in some other GCCs, and what we have in India, there is a big difference. Still, even today, there is a big difference. I would say that.
Wonderful. Let me move track. I think throughout the conversations, we've talked about GCCs typically being set up for IT, finance, procurement, HR, etc. We do know now that a number of GCCs, the last survey Deloitte did, about 90% of the respondents mentioned that there was a finance GCC in India. Now, the natural adjacency to a finance GCC is taxation. Right?
That's right.
I know ABB has been at the forefront. You all set up your tax GCCs way back in 2017. You do have more than 70 plus people doing global taxation in India. Can you help us walk through that journey as to what all you're doing on the global taxes in India?
Okay. Yeah, I think we got this opportunity when GST came, I think, and that's where we triggered the tax operation in India, because we thought, because pre-GST and post-GST, that is where we divided the team. And we started with some 14 people who were doing the GST returns, state-wise GST returns, because ABB, we took GST return for almost all the 23 states, because we have business in all the states. That's how we took it. But then gradually over the time, we built up the capabilities, we hired more people, and we showed up that there is a talent who can deliver not only India GST, they can also do authorization for some of the European countries as well. And that's where we started getting the job, work from those countries. Then gradually we also added the corporate tax, because we also filed that filing income tax return, or maybe filling some of the withholding tax forms, which could be done more based on the SOPs and all that. So we prepared some SOPs. There was a transition. There was a KCKT, we call it, knowledge capture and knowledge transfer, something like that, which was done with all the countries. And that's where we started building up. And today we are more than 65 plus people working for more than 40 plus countries, serving income tax, corporate, then withholding tax, GST, VAT, and also we have, maybe in the COVID time, we set up a TP center, COE, which is also doing very well with 10 plus members, and serving and preparing 170 TP documentations for the group.
Awesome. So you seem to have covered the entire ambit of taxation at your center.
Yes.
Lovely. Which gets me to the next question. Tax is, the knowledge in tax is not something which is universal. It's very niche. The taxation of US is very different from UK or, be it one of the other European countries or Japan. So my question to you, Mrinal, is twofold. One, is it easy to attract talent with those kind of skills in India, specific country skills? And two, one of the things I learned from you and your teams is that you have very little attrition. So what's the secret behind it?
Yeah, I mean, I would tell that we are very lucky that our attrition rate is very, very low as compared to other hubs, I would say that. And one of the reason is our early engagement with all the team members. Like we never have, for example, I'll give you, for when we do for GST in India, we have around 11 FTs who are filing GST returns for us. And what we have done is we have given one state to everyone. So they feel the ownership of it, that yes, I'm not only doing and filing return and going home, I'm also taking the ownership of it, end to end, that what they're doing it. This is how we engage them. We also, have regular engagement over the team meetings, or maybe when we go for some off-site, we bring them. So that way we regular engage them. We also do that on every quarterly basis. We have meetings. We update them on the new regulations that is coming. For example, in GST or maybe income tax, we keep them updated. So that way the engagement is always there. Plus, we also ensure the SOP that they have on which they file returns, because we have very strict rule that everything has to be done based on the SOP. Even for the foreign countries, when we get the work, nobody can deviate from the SOP, because that SOP has been agreed and signed by both the parties. And that's how everybody works. Whether irrespective of the person is there or somebody else comes, he has to follow the SOP. I think that is the best practice that we are following, and I think it is working fine.
And how do you, as I mentioned, the first part to my question, unlike some other universal skills, taxation very niche, and in your case, very country specific. Is there sufficient talent available in India, or is it something that you don't need specific country skills for this?
I would say that for some of the work in the tax, like filing tax returns, which predominantly is following the same for most of the countries. But yes, we find some challenge in the US, because I believe US is little different and when it comes to taxation, because there you have to file returns for each and every county and every state that you have to file the return. And I mean, we are filing around 4,000 to 5,000 returns just for US as compared to others. So I would say US is different, and then rest we are able to manage. So we have also some challenge on the US side, but not on the other side.
Wonderful. Wishing you and ABB the best in your tax journey. Thank you. Thank you so much for your insights,
Thank you.
Mrinal.
Thank you very much.